Have you ever sent your partner a message and then after 20-30 minutes of waiting, your mind starts racing? Why aren't they replying? Did I do something wrong? Are they going to leave me? Nothing has really happened in reality, yet emotionally, it is already feels as though some catastrophe has taken place. If this sounds familiar to you, then you are certainly not alone. In psychology, this process is closely tied to what we call the fear of abandonment. And today we are going to explore this topic from two different perspectives. The first one is psychology, which will help us understand what are the internal and underlying emotional mechanisms which cause such fears and such feelings. And the second is Vedic astrology, which helps us to see where these tendencies are reflected in our birth chart and why they manifest and why they become active during certain periods of our life. I am Dr. Das and welcome to my channel Vedic AstroPsychology, where we combine Vedic astrology with behavioral sciences and psychology to help understand emotional patterns and express your planetary energies in a positive and a more conscious way. So to start, when it comes to being clingy or needing constant reassurance in our relationships, the idea is that there exists an unconscious loop in our minds related to relationship anxiety. An unconscious process is an automatic and super fast mental operation which the mind executes without any conscious intent or awareness. And these unconscious processes shape our thoughts and emotions and how we perceive the universe around us without us really knowing that they are operating. Right? And what happens is that some unconscious processes become dominant in our minds because in a way we become addicted to them and we want those emotions and we want those feelings. So these unconscious processes become dominant. Some processes become dominant in our mind. And for such people who have fear of relationship abandonment, what is happening is that their mind has adapted to constantly look for danger when it comes to relationships. Right? So they're actively looking for signs or signals that make them feel anxious about the relation or that the relation is under some threat. And when it comes, so when someone tells me that this is how they are feeling when it comes to relationship, the thing that I'm looking for is the moon, because the moon represents our emotional mind, our internal sense of security and how we form attachments. And the same principles applies to the fourth house also and the fourth lord, because in the original zodiac, the fourth house is Cancer and it represents our home, our sense of security. So when our mind or the fourth lord feels under attack, our sense of security is endangered. Right? We are in a state of hyper-vigilance, where we are constantly looking for any threats which is influencing our safety or our security. And such psychological processes correlate to the moon being conjunct with Ketu. Right? That's when it manifests in your chart. And Ketu is the planet for separation. Right? So when these two energies combine, it instills in the mind an innate anticipation that sudden loss is going to happen. Right? Or some emotional distance is going to be created, or there is going to be emotional separation. And the mind is, because this unconscious loop is over there, the mind is waiting for the other party, or the partner to leave. Right? And this can happen when Ketu, and even if this combination is not there in your chart, it could happen when Ketu is transiting the fourth house or the house in which the fourth lord is there or the moon is there. Right? Even then this energies will manifest. And because Ketu is sitting with the moon, Rahu automatically is sitting in the seventh house from the moon, and seventh house is all about relationships. So that is why these unconscious processes of fear of abandonment are typically related with relationships, because the mind is feeling that there will be separation, and because Rahu is sitting on the seventh house, it feels as if the relationship is what is going to be separated. This means that the partner can feel like an illusion, someone who could suddenly vanish, the partner, because Rahu is the planet that is always obsessive and desires more and leaves. And what will happen is that the mind of such a person will feel as if they are not adequate enough, because Rahu, their partner, is always looking for more, and that one day they will eventually leave. And because Rahu is a planet of illusion, the mind will create scenarios where that don't really exist in reality, because it will create an illusion related to the partner leaving. So in this unconscious process, the mind is constantly scanning the environment, looking for any data or any signal that shows there is a danger of leaving, the partner leaving, or there will be some sort of rejection. This is simply how these people experience relationships, right? And so even a small event like a delayed reply, the partner is not responding to a text message because they're busy, or the partner has come back after an exhausting day of work and just being a little quiet and aloof. Even something as ordinary as that will get overblown in their head. The relation will look as if some illusion, something big is happening, and the mind, the Ketu, will tell the mind, this unconscious loop, that they're going to leave, and the moon will become hyper vigilant because it's feeling unsafe and it is feeling threatened. And so some small signals like this will support this interpretation, that this proof that this person is going to leave and I'm going to be abandoned. So this is how the cycle operates, and then such a person will act on this loop, because that is what the addiction is trying to do. They will act on this loop and they will become ultra clingy, right? And by clingy I mean that they will start seeking reassurance in different ways. Which brings me to my next point of self-fulfilling prophecy. So every time these people feel that their relation is under threat, they will act out in panic. They will send multiple text messages, make dozen calls, and repeatedly ask, are you upset with me? Is everything okay? And over time, the partner will constantly start feeling as if they're being tested. All the time they need to give reassurance, all the time they need to give some response. And slowly they will feel drained and they will naturally pull back a little bit. And because they will pull back, that will become another data point, which is further proof that the partner is leaving. So in the mind of these people, these clingy people, they will say that, oh, I knew it, see, they're leaving. And eventually the partner will embody the energy of Rahu. They will become Rahu and they will actually leave. And the fear itself has created the outcome, that it was trying to prevent in the first place. So this becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy for this people, such kind of people. So which brings me to the next point, which is that such people who have Ketu and Moon together are extremely good manifestors, right? So the story becomes positive from here. Like till now it was negative, but it becomes positive here. So these people are actually amazing at manifesting. They are able to manifest from the beyond, right? When the mind connects with Ketu, when the moon and Ketu get connected, what it naturally is doing, that they can manifest from the spiritual realm, whatever they, if and only if they are able to bring this combination, this conjunction or this transit energy into a higher expression, right? So Ketu represents the spiritual realm, and it deals with energy from the unseen world, from beyond. Because it does not have any material desires of its own, right? Ketu is all about abandonment and being isolated and not owning anything. It does not have a body of its own. It does not have any desire of its own. It simply acts as a direct conduit to the universal energy if it is used correctly. So Ketu is actually nothing but a tool. When it is calibrated correctly, you can tap into energies of the realm from beyond this material world that we're living in. And because these people have this Ketu energy directly with the moon, they can manifest powerfully through their mind. However, such people have not been taught how to handle such Ketu energy, and they utilize this tool incorrectly and end up harming themselves. So they are operating at a very low frequency of Ketu moon conjunction, and they end up manifesting loss and separation instead of actually manifesting positive things in their life. Now the trick to tapping into this higher Ketu energy is very counterintuitive. It might sound funny, but the trick is to actually stop feeling, right? So if you are feeling and you are reacting emotionally, you are triggering this unconscious loop at a lower frequency. that is why these meditations, the best meditation, so they have to like do meditation basically, and a very specific type of meditation, which is meditating on nothing. They have to really quiet their mind and let go of any thought, or not thought, sorry, they need to let go of any emotions. Thought is fine for them. For them, the problem is emotion, right? So I would advise such people not to attempt different types of meditation, such as visualization, feel good affirmations, law of attraction style meditation, where you have to constantly think about what you want. And these kind of meditations, they require energizing your feelings, which is completely incorrect for moon Ketu combination people. Such people who have not mastered the lunar energy, if they start energizing their feelings, the feeling of desperation will creep in, because Ketu is about abandoning your thoughts and your feelings and things like that, so or whatever you're thinking about. So automatically they will want, the idea of desperation will come in, because they're not feeling like they're going to get what they want, and they will, because of that desperation, they will start manifesting these negative at a negative level, and the loop will start giving them negative results. So people with moon Ketu combination don't need to energize their feelings at all. They don't need those kind of law of attraction meditation at all. They need to be able to think without feeling, right? And meditating on nothing, this idea of stilling the mind, shifts the planetary combination to a very high level. When the mind stops overreacting emotionally, the negative frequencies automatically go, because Ketu is rewarding detachment. So if you are able to think in a detached manner without getting emotionally entangled, you don't bring your moon into your thought process, the emotions, not the, yeah, so moon is emotions, right? You don't bring your emotions into your thought process. You are doing what Ketu wants. You are letting go of your emotions. The minute you do that, you actually tap into this combination energy, and Ketu, because it is connected to universal energy, it allows these, the universe to work through you, whatever you're thinking. So it is very critical to realize that it is the emotion attached to thought which is the problem. It is not the thought itself which drives this lower manifestation. So the minute thought becomes emotionless for these people, they have truly tapped into this moon Ketu combination, and they will be directly connected to spiritual realm, and they will start manifesting whatever they're thinking. That's this is something you can tell me in the comments if you have felt this. Wherever you don't, for such people who have moon Ketu combination, wherever they don't feel emotionally attached to the outcome, those things will be working out for them most of the time. And that is something they have to develop, right? Because for us humans, thought and emotions are very closely intertwined. They're one, they're very, like one results in the other. If you think something, emotions are born, and if emotions are born, then you start thinking something. So they're very closely connected to each other, and it takes a lot of mastery to separate them. They're actually two very different things, what you think and what you feel. So if you can learn how to completely detach from what you're thinking, Ketu starts manifesting for you very powerfully. And the main life lesson for such people, I would say, is mastering the act of thinking without feeling. That is their life purpose. That is why they have this planetary combinations over here. So how to do this is very simple. It takes, like, start with 5 minutes a day, slowly build it to 10 minutes a day. Develop this practice where you just go into meditation and you stop, you think, but you don't feel anything. You just you just feel you just think, you observe your thoughts and try to detach any feelings, anger, you know um, desperation, hate, whatever feelings you have, even love, good feelings, desire, let that go. And once you inculcate this ability, it becomes stronger and stronger, and then you tap into this energy of nothingness, and you can then do it anytime. So anytime throughout the day you're feeling stressed, suddenly you're becoming very emotional, take a moment, pause, take a deep breath, and connect to this energy of nothingness which you have developed in your daily practice, and that will help you recalibrate your life experiences. So it's not about being in this emotionless state forever. That's impossible to do. But slowly, whenever in these pivotal points, if you just take a moment and recalibrate, and you tap into this Ketu energy of beyond realm, automatically you will see your life directions will start becoming better and better, and things will improve. This practice is extremely important for such people. reason being is because Rahu is sitting in the 7th house from the moon, right? So these people they have the energies to attract individuals, partners who will be of Rahu energy. So at a low frequency, what will happen is they will manifest partners who tend to manipulate, because that's what Rahu does, right? The partner will be very inconsistent, they'll be very unpredictable. They will play these kind of games of affection where they will give love conditionally, that if you do this for me, I will give you affection, I will give you reassurance. And they will understand this person's mind, they're always looking for reassurance, so they'll be able to play with such people. And because these kind of people, they fear losing their relationship, that is their most biggest anxiety. It's so severe for them that they will end up tolerating behavior which they should never have. The toxic behavior they will start accepting, and instead of walking away, because they are being mistreated, they will become even more fearful, and they will start accepting such toxic behavior. So such meditative energy is extremely important for such people. At a practical level, another remedy that these people can do is to empower Mercury. Okay, so one is meditate on nothingness, right? And another practical way is you empower Mercury, because Mercury represents analytical thinking. So when I said thinking and emotions and feeling are different, so thinking is both are happening in the mind. Thinking and emotions both are happening in the mind, and thinking is a more rational way of approaching reality, and it's a more conscious way, right? And Ketu and emotions are coming from the unconscious, right? And there's a full science between all of this. So what happens is that the anxious mind, they jump to, they look at data and they jump to catastrophic conclusions. But if you strengthen your Mercury, you can protect yourself without reaching that level. So first is Mercury is a very good analytical thinker. As I said, it is a very good way of thinking in a conscious level. And to be a good analytical thinker, you need to be good at analysis. You need to pause, right? You need to be able to gather all the data, all the evidence, and then test your assumptions in a very non-biased and detached manner. That is what a good researcher or a good scientist is, a good Mercury is. So here also, if you see this idea of testing your assumptions in a non-biased manner, in a detached manner, is again a Ketu expression, where the Ketu energy of being detached from the outcome is at play. So you're bringing it in through Mercury. So you have to then elevate your this Mercurian energy and ask yourself, what actual evidence do I have that this fear right now, or am I building a story in my head? And the problem here with the weak Mercury is that such people, they fall victim to something in psychology known as confirmation bias, where they selectively look for data that supports their hypothesis or their panic, and they ignore everything else. So a good Mercury will not be selective about what data they use. They won't become emotional, and they won't really care about the outcome. They'll look at all the data and they'll test their hypothesis in a very scientific manner. So that is a empowering Mercurian thinking, right? Second is Mercury is also a very good communicator. So if you want to empower Mercury in communication, what you need to do is you need to replace your panic thinking with honest communication. So first, early on in the relation itself, tell your partner that that this is how you become anxious, and set up some low cost communication protocols. What I mean here is, if your partner is busy, agree that they will just use one code word which will imply that everything is fine, or maybe they'll just give a simple thumbs up when they're busy or something like that. Or maybe they'll just send a text that I'm super busy right now, everything is fine, don't worry, I'll talk to you when I'm back. Or maybe just a code word, like a protocol, like this one code word means this whole thing. So they don't have to type, when they're very busy, or when they're not in the mood to discuss and things like that. And you have to respect that, right? And as a communicator, as a diplomat, because that's what Mercury is, you have to accept this protocol, that whenever this person uses this protocol, means when the code word means that they will get back to me later on and everything is fine, I have to be comfortable with that. So what you're doing with empowering Mercury is that you're introducing safeguards, right? So whenever your negative loop gets triggered, Mercury steps in and stops this panic, arrests it before it gets overblown in your mind. Right? So this is something you can do with your partner. So to conclude, while Moon represents the emotion, Mercury represents thinking. And as I said, the two are deeply intertwined in psychology and astrology. And there is so much to say over here. It's an amazing depth that one can go to between the relationship between emotions and thinking, and from a psychology point of view, and between Mercury and Moon from an astrology point of view. But we'll save that. If you want me to create a video on this, please let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to explore this in a more systematic manner. But in the meantime, such people with Moon Ketu combination should reduce their reactivity, the emotional reaction to events, using silent meditation, meditating on nothingness, and elevate that Moon Ketu energy. And they should strengthen the Mercury by analyzing reality in an objective manner and setting clear communication systems. When you do this, you will stop fearing abandonment, and you will be stop relying on your partner for constant validation and reassurance. So thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your comments on your thoughts about this video, and also this disclaimer which I'm going to paste later after this. So please also do read that, just so that we are aligned in our expectations from the videos I'm creating. Thank you so much.